Hey there, Jim Rowan. How you going? Weird start. It's the 9th of January, 2021, and it is a Saturday. It is a cloudy day. It is a bit of a rainy day, but I don't mind. Bit of a lazy day after quite a week watching wrestling. A lot of wrestling happened this week. I don't know if anyone out there, any New Japan fans out there, realize, but probably the biggest week of the year to start us off. A few big shows happened. Breaking news: Wrestle Kingdoms, Wrestle Kingdom 15 on podcast number 15. It's like it was meant to be. I'll pretty much get straight into it because there's an awful lot to get through. But I did want to mention that I feel like I'm still playing with this. I mean, only 15 episodes in, early doors. I feel like I want the podcast to be louder. Now I listened back to the last couple. The Best of Super Juniors one, I had the fan on in the background and I could hear it, so I'm sorry about that. I'm not going to make that mistake again, at least for a while. Although it is summer, give me a break. Today's cool, so I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know. I'm not good at this stuff, clearly. So hopefully this. I don't want it to be too loud. I just want the option to be there if one were to want to listen to my voice at an above average audio level. You know, my voice in too many decibels. I want that to be an option. So hopefully it doesn't ruin things. Because what I find is that I'm not very good at testing either. So I don't really know what the end product is until I'm done with it. And once I'm done with it, I'm certainly not going to go back over it. But that's why I'm not really advertising these at the moment, because I'm not really sure what kind of quality I'm chugging out yet. Anyway, yeah, like I said, plenty to get through. Let's get stuck in. On the 4th of January, New Japan was in the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Kingdom 15, Night 1, and it looked pretty good. When I first saw it, it looked like there was only floor seating in the stadium, of course, because of the restrictions, the current situation in Tokyo due to COVID-19. But there was still a lot of people. It still looked pretty good. And as the event moved on, we were able to see that there was, the stands kind of filled up. Not all of them, obviously, but they picked their spot, and the attendance was reported. I wrote it down at some point. We'll get to that. But Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton on commentary at first for the pre-show opener, which gave me the hint that Rocky is probably in the pre-show. The King of Pro Wrestling, Rambo. Which, am I wrong in thinking Rambo is just how Japanese people would pronounce Rumble? I shouldn't do the accent. That's a bad idea. I stopped myself. That's what's important. Do not come after me for thought crimes. I didn't say it. I can't be in trouble. Okay. 21 entrants. There's an entrance every minute, a new person, and the eliminations can occur over the top rope, disqualification, pinfall, submission, or knockout. First in is Chase Owens, who apparently politicked his way into this spot, and lucky him, Ishii comes out second to start the match with him, and they trade finisher attempts early. It's fast-paced. Minoru Suzuki's out next. Speaking of fast-paced, I'm probably just going to run through this. I mean, look, it's just the opener. There's not much to it. It's kind of just silly. I didn't expect much from it, and I don't know. That's kind of what I got. So Minoru Suzuki is in third, and Chase decides this is a good time for a timeout. So Ishii and Suzuki go back and forth with elbows. Chase picks his moment to time a strike on Ishii to no effect, and both of the other two knock Chase down. He tries Suzuki next, no effect, knocked down. He tries a few shots on both, and then they both knock him down. Nagata comes in next, which evens things out a bit for Owens because he takes Suzuki's attention. And then there's Henare, who of course goes for Ishii, and they have a good exchange. Goto's in next. This is like a never tournament almost so far. Before he gets in the ring, Nagata and Suzuki take a tumble, nearly being eliminated over the top rope. They stand on the apron, only to be eliminated by Henare. So Henare with a pretty big a coup there, I suppose. It's couple of big names he's eliminated there, Nagata and Suzuki, and then those two just continue fighting on the outside anyway. So Hiroki Goto came in at that point. Yujiro came in next. Ishii tricks Henare into a back body drop over the top. So out he goes. Yujiro teams up with Owens on Goto until Yoshihashi comes in to make the save for his tag team partner. Oh, wait, never mind. He takes his time. He walks down the ramp without a care in the world. Makabe comes in next, Togi Makabe, and targets the Bullet Club team first, but then he eliminates Goto and Yoshi. Similar to how Henare ended Nagata and Suzuki's chances of victory, just kind of a double clothesline over the top. Honma comes in next. And then he goes after Makabe for some reason. Him and Makabe and Ishii get into a bit of a chopping triangle. And then Tenzan comes out, and I guess maybe Honma knew I'm sure he knew Tenzan was next, and he's picked his old GBH leader over the second leader, Makabe. And actually, it's those two that eliminate Makabe, Tenzan and Honma. GBH OG. And Rocky Romero comes out next. Yep, there you go. We got Dookie. Oh my god, every time. Doki, I swear this isn't a gimmick. Doki comes out with his pipe and gets himself disqualified, so he's eliminated a different way. He doesn't leave though until Sho comes down, Ibushi's #1 fan, to the rescue of Rocky, and he throws out Doki. No, not Ibushi, just Bushi comes out next. He quickly eliminates Yujiro. Tiger Mask comes out to do a bad crossbody on Romero. Well, formerly known, of course, Romero as Black Tiger, former rival of Tiger Mask. And then Bad Luck Fale is next at 17. Sorry, I didn't do the numbers, but it doesn't matter. Ishii is about to eliminate Owens when Fale eliminates Ishii instead. Gabriel Kidd comes out next, while Honma gets eliminated, and then Bushi won't let Kidd into the ring, and then Tenzan goes out, and there's a Tiger Bomb on Owens. All the young lions come out one after the other. Uemura's after Kidd. He attacks Bushi, helping Kidd. Sho goes flying by outside by Fale, and Rocky got eliminated too, I think off camera. Then Tiger is eliminated at the hands of Fale as well. Kidd and Uemura get in and continue teaming up. Tsuji joins them next, and they're all working together. Yuya fights out of a grenade launcher, a move, of course, between Owens and Fale. Bushi now trips up Owens. He's staying on the outside, is Bushi. And then the youngsters try to lift Fale together, but he throws them all off. And then the final entrant at 21 is Toru Yano. Fale sees him coming. He hits a grenade on Yota, and then Yuya, and then Kidd gets eliminated, and then Tsuji gets eliminated, and then Uemura gets eliminated. He eliminates all of them. But the thing is, the whole idea behind this Rambo was for the final four to go into a match tomorrow night, the next night. So before Yano's even made it to the ring, there's already a final four. Owens has made it. He's lasted the whole match since number one. Fale came in late and kind of eliminated everyone else. Bushi stayed outside the ring, and Yano never got into the ring. So that's the match tomorrow night, and can't say it's very hype, but you know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they felt like they needed a trophy for the bottom of the card, but anyway. So the promos afterward, Hanare stops by. It's a much larger press area than usual, of course. I just noted here. First time we're seeing it. He says he took no damage. He eliminated too many respects so much. And then he says again in Japanese that he will be the most determined foreigner in 2021. Bushi said he had that plan all along, not to get in the ring because there's no countouts. So he's pretty happy with himself. Fale and Owens are together, but they've got very different emotions. Owens seems happy about the victory, but Fale says this is rigged, that Yano shouldn't be in the Final Four because he didn't do anything. And then Owens tries proposing a plan between them for the Final Four match, but Fale isn't particularly interested. Yano comes in last and says he will win decisively tomorrow in a very enthusiastic way. But there you go, that was the opener. Nothing fancy, not meant to be. But the main card begins next. A main card that's shorter than what we would usually expect, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. So this Japanese Don King opens the show, introduces Riki Choshu, who comes out with his young grandson in his arm, who's crying, and what an ingrate he is. He doesn't last long. Upset with the whole situation. Grandpa's just trying to do something nice for your kid. You know. How about you pick up your spirits? The crowd's filled out at this point. Charlton translates along as best he can, but I don't think there's much they're really saying here that you wouldn't normally hear. And then there's a vignette that plays and introduces all the matches, so let's get to them. Number one contender match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship between the Super J Cup winner El Phantasmo and the Best of Super Juniors 27 winner Hiromu Takahashi. Now, I wrote fairly extensively about this match and every match to come. Of course, with the Rambo, I just took notes, which is how I would usually do this. I would just have notes on the page and I would just kind of go through it. I don't want to just read what I wrote, but if you want to read what I wrote, I'm going to put this up on cagematch.net. I think it's cagematch.net, right? Let me double check that. It'll be under my name, Jim Rowan. Cagematch.com. Oh, Cage Side Seats. Cage Match. That's the that's where I get my stats from. Wrong side. CageSideSeats.com if you wanted to read exactly what happened with all of these, but I don't want to read to you. This isn't story time. I just want to tell you what I thought of it. So, well, one thing that happened, if you watched the Super J Cup, you would remember that the winner, El Phantasmo, ELP, was pausing his music, his entrance music. Well, not even pausing. He wasn't allowing it to be played on the broadcast. And when he came out, I don't know how I did it, but I actually must have clicked mute. And I thought, it was like just as he came out to the stage, and I thought, oh, he's doing this gimmick still. And I was kind of disappointed, like, you know, this is the first big entrance of the show. I've been looking forward to this show for a while, and he's, I guess that's a good heel move. But then I had some technical issues with the website not too far after this, and so I went back and realized, oh, no, wait, that was just me. I was the one muting the music. So anyway, down he comes, being as disrespectful as he can. By the way, Romero has rejoined the English commentary team at this point. and he's very upset that ELP is disrespecting the Super J Cup in general. He thinks he's also disrespecting Liger, Jushin Thunder Liger, because he's the creator of the cup. Yeah, but I mean, in fairness, he's not wrong. ELP's like throwing the jacket that he won down the stage and kicking it down the ramp. He even sticks his backflip, the off the top turnbuckle, straight on top of the jacket, which to me seemed very dangerous. Like, it'd be easy to slip, I would have thought, but that's just how good he is, even after all that time off. So that's his deal. Hiromu comes out with his trophy, not Super J Cup, Best of Super Juniors, and he's got a really big coat on as well, extra large, extra colourful. And yeah, our ELP starts the match getting out, and he throws down the Best of Super Juniors trophy. He's calling after Liger, but Hiromu runs at him, drop kicks him off the apron, does a big senton off the top turnbuckle to the outside, and then the match really gets started. So there's a few more flippies. There was a Hiromu trying to sunset flip powerbomb at one point, but ELP flips out of it and then jumps on Hiromu's back to get back in the ring, rebounds on the other side, comes back with a sunset flip and lands that one. And then he was waiting for the count out. He was quite happy with the count out, but then he realizes Hiromu's going to get up, so he goes up to the turnbuckle, walks to the middle of the rope, and then moonsaults back onto Hiromu on the outside. And it's at that point that he's playing with his foot. And of course, at the time, I thought, he must have something must have gone wrong. He must have landed on his ankle wrong or something. But we were to learn later in the match that there is something afoot, as Hiromu would put it. He stomps on, when they get back in the ring, he stomps on Hiromu's hand, and Hiromu sells it like death. And, the match continues. Hiromu sells the hand very well, by the way. It's believable that in the way he sells it. ELP is kind of in control of much of the match. He tries a Styles Clash at one point, but that gets reversed. There's a reversal when Hiromu goes for he tries to reverse a roll-up, and ELP stops it by just dropping down. He just drops down Hiromu on his head, kind of like a reverse tombstone. And then Hiromu impressively gets ELP up on his shoulders, a fireman's carry, and he walks up the turnbuckle with ELP, a bigger man, on his shoulders. ELP manages to escape though, and he gets knocked down, and accidentally, on purpose, he bumps into the referee. So the referee's down, he punches Hiromu in the hand, he punches Hiromu in the groin, and then there was a big Poison Rana. Was it? I'm not sure if it was a Poison Rana. I put Poison Rana, but either that or a Hurricanrana. And then he does a splash off the top, ELP, for 2. And then he does land a Styles Clash, but then he goes one too far, trying the one-winged angel, and that gets reversed. Hiromu tries a time bomb, that's reversed into a bridging pin, and the ref doesn't see ELP's foot or feet up on the ropes, trying to kind of like Jay White, use that extra leverage and get the pin, but still Hiromu kicks out. ELP goes for his finish, the CR2. This time it's counted into a Hurricanrana. Hiromu pulls up on the legs and he gets the finish, just like that. Surprise pin. A little bit out of nowhere, I guess. It's not like Hiromu wasn't in the fight. It just ELP was just with all his tricks and cheating was definitely had the upper hand, but it's Hiromu that goes through. So he's got the championship match with Ishimori tomorrow, the next night, and he's selling the hand on the way out big time. He says to the camera that his hand's broken and it's not going to be fun tomorrow. So after the match, Phantasmo, he says he's disrespected by these allegations of a loaded boot. He's been kicking trees in the Canadian forest for months, working on that kick, and resents this idea that he's doing something wrong. He calls Tai Chi, oh sorry, not Tai Chi, Tai Ji, his best friend in New Japan and the Bone Daddy. I just thought Bone Daddy was, I don't know, I think it'd be interesting to see if he uses that one again. Just sounds a little like something more than a tag partner, if you catch my drift. And then speaking of the Bone Daddy, he comes out as Ishimori comes out as Hiromu gets to the press area, and he thinks that Phantasmo's already pushed him to his limits and that tomorrow will certainly be the end of him, kind of chuckling to himself. And Hiromu's not really selling it. He's like, okay, well, are you just going to talk and then run away, or do you want to listen to what I've got to say? And then Hiromu doesn't really even address him. He just does his promo. Yeah, that's the trouble with not having much charisma yourself. You're not really sure how to counter someone that's really charismatic. So he really made Ishimori look a bit of a dope. And that's really like an LIJ thing, I've come to find. They're all pretty good at doing that. Like Naito, of course, is particularly good at just making people feel so small. But yeah, Hiromu does it well here. He says of the match with Phantasmo, he thought it was dirty. He's not sure exactly what it was, but something was afoot, is what he says. That's another one of those things where I'm like, how do they have a direct translation for that? Obviously, it's playing off the fact that foot is in the word and it means that something was up, something was wrong. But I don't understand how, unless Japanese is based on English, was he not making that clever little wordplay in Japanese and the translator made that clever little wordplay? I don't know. Stuff like that. I think I need to learn Japanese. I think that's what I need to do. Anyway, so he wants these illegalities to be investigated, and he's really selling the hand, and he sells it well. I don't know if it's kind of a different injury. You don't usually see people selling the hand so much in wrestling, so he does it pretty well. He's just kind of like, I don't know. I guess it's easy to empathize with a hand injury. It's something that most people would go through, I think, and you realize how much you use the bloody thing. Anyway, the next match was, should I just mention? No, I shouldn't. I was going to say, well, should I do a summary of what I thought of it? I didn't think that much of it, so maybe I shouldn't. It was a good match. It was nothing spectacular, but actually there was certainly spectacular moments, but yeah, no, it was good. It was good. And then the Tag Team Championship, IWGP Tag Team Championship, the Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tangaloa with Jado take on Dangerous Tekkers, Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi. So what I found out was, I didn't realize this and thought it surprising, that the Guerrillas, for all their success, they've never actually won inside the Tokyo Dome. And I don't remember that being, it might well have been, but I don't remember that being a part of their promos leading up to this. Anyway, so they've got I don't know if it was new gear. It was ugly gear, and it wasn't well coordinated because Tonga's in white and Tama's in grey, or like an olive kind of colour, or I don't know what it was. It might have been gold, but like an ugly gold. Yeah, and um, then their opponents, the champions, come out. Taichi first, and then Zack, and then Doki, which is only fair given the presence of Jado. But Tama has his eyes on that iron glove that Taichi wears. He tries to tear it away from him, and the piece is broken. The fight begins. Taichi hates these guys so much, and it's clear in the way, like, he wants a fight. He's not in there for a wrestling match. I mean, he said several times that he wants to murder them. So it wouldn't really make sense if he went in there doing, wrist locks and bridges and flips and stuff. He's throwing punches. He keeps trying to choke them. Zack's a bit more orthodox, of course. He goes with what works for him, but every time Taichi tags back in, he's just straight choking him, and not even like a sleeper hold or anything either. He's just putting his hands on their neck. But it's working for them at first. The champions are on top until Jado provides a distraction and there's a change in momentum, and then it's the gorillas that cut off Taichi, and they're wearing him down, keeping him in the corner, keeping him away from Zack, taunting him as they do. So he's being worn down physically and mentally. And then eventually it's Tama that takes too long running in when Taichi's in the corner. So he eats a boot, and then Taichi dodges the next one, hits him with an enziguri, gets the hot tag to Zack Sabre Jr., who goes in, and there's a cool couple of spots that he does. There's like a dodge, a corner dodge that he does, and then he kind of runs up the turnbuckle and hits a tornado DDT. There was a time when, I think it was Tama in the ring at the time, he does a leapfrog, and Zack counters that into the Euro clutch pin. And then Loa gets back in, and he's just kind of overpowering Zack. So Taichi gets back involved. They take out Taichi. They try to decide what's next, and Jado calls out Super Power Bomb. So I guess they just kind of take too long with that. Zack counters while he's up there with a guillotine. Taichi with an ab stretch on Tama. There's a funny moment when, because Zack's got Loa controlled in the corner, and he's yelling at Taichi, "Get your ass over here! Help with this superplex! And he's yelling at him for like 20 seconds at least, just going, "Get over here!" And then, they finally hit the move on Loa. Only gets a 2 count. They try a Holy Zack driver, but that's countered. Magic Killer's countered. They all hit strikes. They're all down. And then this is at the end here. So the Tekkers team regroups first. They hit a couple of big PKs on Loa. They go for the Zack Mephisto, but Tama comes in with the gun stun on Zack. Loa tries to powerbomb Taichi, but he escapes that and then eats a gun stun. Oh no, wait, no, he countered the gun stun as well. And then he hits a dangerous backdrop driver, Kawada style. Off come the pants. They've lasted this long. Can you believe it? Jado gets in. Tama grabs the iron glove while Taichi is distracted by Jado, and Tama hits Taichi with his own iron glove right in the jaw, knocks him out, Loa's in position to hit apeshit, and that's it. They beat him. The Gorillas become record-breaking 7-time tag team champions as the World Tag League champions, and they break their duck in the Tokyo Dome. So that's huge. That's a huge win for them. And they don't celebrate it in the ring. They walk into the audience. They get on top of those baseball dugouts. I don't know what Americans call them. And where the substitutes sit. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. And Yeah, that's when I realized there was plenty of people in the stands because that all looked really full. But Doki has to carry Taichi out on his back. He got, yeah, proper done in with that finger poke of doom. Iron finger poke. So backstage, Doki sits Taichi down at the table. He's still in a bad way. Zack starts ranting on about the referees. He thinks they should have mandatory eye testing, which, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that. And he says he'll fight I'm guessing he's talking about the gorillas here. He'll fight them in a Lawson if he has to. Which, I mean, Lawson are these little convenience stores that are everywhere, particularly in Tokyo. But basically, just he wants a rematch anytime, anywhere. Taichi's too beat up to speak, but Doki just kind of angrily repeats Zack's sentiments. And then he says he feels somewhat responsible for not being able to stop Jado, so he wants a match with Jado. Meanwhile, the Tongans, they hug Jado, they sit in front of all their gold, with the addition of the Iron Glove now that Tama proudly displays. Lois says they had to overcome a pandemic to get here, like no one else did. And then he talks too long, but as soon as he stops, it's Tama's turn, so double-edged sword there. Although this isn't bad, actually, from Tama. He speaks more softly. He looks a bit emotional, actually, and he says you have to kill him to beat him, and he's an ugly motherfucker when he's mad. They all hug again and open up some Zimas and cheers. So there you go, Gorillas. That was a pretty good match. And then we have a pre-taped Jon Moxley promo. It was pretty short, pretty simple, pretty vague. He calls himself the Boogeyman. I think the main thing that was to gain from this is that he was in the New Japan Strong Arena, so that the New Japan, the place of New Japan America. So I guess that's where it's going to be. But speaking of the United States Championship, the next match is the right to challenge contract for that championship. Of course, Juice Robinson had earned this opportunity, but out with injury, which obviously I think I called it into question. I don't know if I did it on the last podcast or not, but I think I did because I just didn't see it happen. Like I wasn't sure, but maybe he just slipped at home, reaching for the remote and smashed his face on the coffee table. I don't know. He's out. He's legitimately out, and Satoshi Kojima is in. He brings Hiroyoshi Tenzan with him for moral support. And of course, the current contract holder is Kenta, defending for the 5th time. Kenta's gone full blonde for this match, which is, I guess, just going to be another marker for the Strong Show as to how far behind it is. I don't know how long Kenta's planning on staying in Japan, but I think he lives in the United States, so anyway, this is 10 years to the day that Kojima faced Hiroshi Tanahashi in the Tokyo Dome for the company's top prize. And now to steal the prize through dastardly deeds or not, Kenta has earned the crap out of. 5th defense is, like Tony Ferguson level of ridiculousness. Ridiculous number 1 contendershipness. Now, yeah, the match was pretty good. Kenta pushes Tenzan over for no reason, and then when Kojima comes out to try and save him, he pushes Kojima into Tenzan, and he kind of mocks a lot of Kojima's moves to relative success. Kenta just kind of seems to have more energy throughout the match, and Kojima's just kind of fighting back here and there. His lariat is countered into a power slam. When that's still not enough, Kenta grabs the briefcase. And when the referee tries to stop him, he's knocked over. So Kenta goes forward with the briefcase. Kojima lariats it out of his grasp, but then the next lariat is countered with a kick. Kojima spins around and connects with a lariat, but that only gets a 2 count. So Kojima tries to line it up again, but this time Kenta hits a Busaiko knee, though Kojima survives that. He tries another lariat. He's getting a bit predictable here. Kenta counters with hard slaps, another knee, and then go to sleep. Eventually keeps Kojima from another trophy, another prize, another title. Although it looked like on the way down, a kind of cool little extra thing that maybe only a veteran would think of. It kind of looked like on the go to sleep, which by the way, it's not that impressive given Kenta was able to do it to Brody King. It's not as impressive when he does it to Kojima, but Kojima's still a pretty big guy. But yeah, it looked like Kojima was trying to lariat him. Like it looked like he nearly kind of figured out the way to land and lariat rather than cop a knee in the head, but he copped a knee in the head and that was it. 1, 2, 3. Kenta stays the champ, or not the champion, the contract holder. And Tenzan gets back into the ring to kind of cover up Kojima, make sure nothing else happens to him. He looks visibly nervous in doing so, but Kenta, he kind of looks at him like he's thinking about taking a shot, but ends up celebrating on the turnbuckle instead. And then backstage, Kojima just wishes Juice a speedy return. He's unhappy that the opportunity came this way, but he says the last couple of weeks have been really precious to him, so I guess like his camp, his training leading up to this. He says, life has more struggles than satisfaction, which I thought was a pretty good line. Don't know if he made it up or not. And yeah, he's sorry for the fans that are disappointed. He's thanked them for the support. He'll be fired up all over again tomorrow. Kenta says this is everyone in the press area, stand, bow, okay, now you can sit. He says, did you see the cool hype video for John Mock? And he points out how many defenses he's had. He says, it should be me calling the shots. I've 5 defenses of this thing. He's only defended his title twice. You know, I'm the one that should be making demands here and telling John Mock when he should be showing up to face me. But so he actually says that, you know, Moxley can challenge for my briefcase. But then later he contradicts himself and says, oh, okay, I want to challenge for the title. Which is pretty common with Kenta. And then, we had another vignette before the next match. Naito has a stack of plates in front of him at a restaurant. Goku-esque. Kidani walks in, the Bushiroad president, and he sits with him to discuss Naito's past and his success. And it's all in Japanese, so I'm really just guessing. But it's all just an advertisement for Strong Spirits, which is an upcoming video game. No, just for mobile. Okay. Not that exciting. But you know, that's what the Japanese people play. They don't play the console stuff or PC stuff as much. They just need something to do on the train. Next up, we had Great-O-Khan versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Over his napkin, he has a torn photo of Tanahashi. And Khan does do his funny walk down the ramp. I wondered about this previously. Is he really going to commit to doing this drunken walk all the way down the Tokyo Dome ramp? Well, the answer is yes. And there is at least one fan dressed in the audience, dressed up as Khan. So at least one fan that went too far. And speaking of gear, Tanahashi has new gear, kind of silver or white and red and blue, and I mean, it's, you know, looks the same as most of his gear does, but very nice. At the beginning of this match, he seems to be kind of toying with Khan, kind of stepping in to bait the takedown and then slipping out of the way. Quite an amateur wrestling based beginning to the match. Tanahashi perhaps looking to test the basics of the newly returned youngster, but it's a hair pull that gets Khan back or gains the advantage for Khan, and he tries to change the pace and direction of the match. He wants more of a brawl. He takes Tanahashi out of the ring, scoop slam on the ramp. While the referee is distracted with the count, Khan prepares a chair in the ring. Then there's the first dragon screw as a counter to a big boot. And Tanahashi, by the way, appears to be moving pretty well. Better than usual. Maybe he got a couple shots in the knee or something. What do they do at Cortisone? I don't know. But big occasion, so might have busted out the big drugs. And then there's a big face buster that's an effective counter to the sling blade. There's another flapjack as well. Kind of like Khan's targeting the beautiful ace face. How dare he? And then there's twist and shout, sling blade. The match is good, but you can tell that Khan's kind of just along for the ride. Tanahashi's making him look good here, but not to say Khan's not contributing. He hits an inverted exploder suplex. There's another reverse suplex that plants Tanahashi on his front, and then the chair is finally called upon. Khan lays it down in the center. He tries an eliminator, trying to, target the landing for the chair, but twist and shout is the counter. Tanahashi picks up the chair like he's going to use it, but then throws it away and instead delivers a perfect dragon suplex for 2. He goes up top, high fly flow connects to the back, rolls him over, goes back up again, high fly flow connects, and Tanahashi wins via pinfall. I expected a little more out of Khan, but I mean, he was on top for decent portions of the match, but I don't know. There wasn't. They left it as a mid-card match. They didn't go all out and finish a miss kind of stuff, which is good. I thought it was a good match. I actually liked this match, and although I thought Khan might have sold a little bit extra, he needs to be helped from the ring, and he's kind of shuffling to the table backstage on the wrong side of it. And he takes the mic and he says that the one that loses shouldn't speak. But then he sits down and his head's hung. He says he can't deny something was learned tonight, but their domination will not stop. And he leaves it at that. Not too bad. Tanahashi sits down and he's asked about his gear, and he says he tried to make it extra flashy. He says Khan is strong, but he compares him to Wato, as in they're both new and newly returned and trying to make their mark, and probably frustrated by the unavoidable circumstances surrounding the time of their return. But he thinks he was lucky to win, Tanahashi. He says he didn't use the chair because he didn't want anger to be what fuels him, and what happened in 2020 is the past. When asked about the atmosphere, he struggles to find an answer at first, appearing to be attempting diplomacy, and he kind of, very much like a politician, chooses not to answer that question and instead answer a different question with a positive answer, just kind of speaking about the success of New Japan. Super political. And then Tanahashi's message is for the fans to stay safe. He appreciates all the fans for supporting them. He promises pro wrestling will be here when the other fans are safe to return. He starts crying, and but then as soon as it's time for a photo, he's like, oh, I have to make sure you get my good side. My hair looks good. I need some photos. So many sides to Hiroshi Tanahashi. But that was that one. And yeah, like I said, enjoyed that match. I thought it was good. And if anything, I probably feel a bit better about Khan now, but he's not going to be facing Hiroshi Tanahashi every match, so hopefully he did learn something from it, and can get better. His teammate, Will Ospreay, who was with B. Priestley, next took on Kazuchika Okada in the co-main, I suppose you could say, of Night 1 Wrestle Kingdom. Ospreay has a new entrance, new theme, new video playing. The assassin is written, usually in his entrance, and that's slowly, or entrance video, and that's slowly redacted, and then later the Commonwealth Kingpin replaces it. And he's got a new outfit too. He's got kind of a fancy green coat, and he's got a stupid pattern shaved into his head, and he does his 3 fingers thing on the turnbuckle. And Okada has I think that's a new coat for Okada as well, but normal kind of thing. Still the glow in the dark stuff. So fight starts, and they've got something to prove to each other. It certainly seems like Ospreay's trying to prove he's better, Okada trying to prove he isn't, which sounds, that is different from wanting to win the match, and it plays into things. They go through the standard fare at the beginning. Ospreay starts tearing up the padding on the outside, the mat, and he's jumping on it to demonstrate how hard of a surface it is. He goes for a pole driver, but Okada resists that. Okada tries a DDT, but that gets pushed away. Ospreay just starts targeting the neck. A bit later, there's a backdrop and a backbreaker, which, again, targeting the spine, but it's also showing off how much stronger Ospreay is now, because he's really kind of lifting into all of these things. The money clip comes out, but Ospreay rams him into the corner to break it. He tries the Stormbreaker for the first time, but he can't secure the second underhook before it's counted. Things start to quicken up. There's a dropkick being reversed into a running powerbomb. Ospreay knocks them both out of the ring, and then back near the exposed timber flooring, he tries a powerbomb. Okada goes for a tombstone. Ospreay plants himself on the table outside of the barricade as a counter to that tombstone, and then he lifts Okada with a suplex over the barricade and then off to the side next to him where there's another ringside table, and he crunches him into that, the infamously rigid Japanese tables. And the referee begins the count, the ring out. So Ospreay gets back in the ring, but then he realizes he doesn't want to just win the match. He wants to prove that he's better than Okada. So he gets back out, he drags Okada into the ring. He tries a Stormbreaker on the apron, but that doesn't work. He tries a modified Oz Cutter, but Okada catches him, drops him on the apron with a tombstone, and they both tumble out again. This time it's Okada up first, and he does not help Ospreay. Not until the last moment, when Ospreay's reaching into the ring to pull himself in, and it's Okada that pulls him in straight into a Rainmaker and maintains wrist control. He goes for it again, but Ospreay fights it off with kicks. Okada still swings his arm, misses. Ospreay rebounds off the ropes, dropkick. So now the old Okada's coming out. And the fans were really excited about it until he went for the money clip. But he quickly abandons it at first. He goes for a tombstone again, but then he locks the money clip back in, so whatever. And then B. Priestley sees this as her time to maybe make an intervention, but Okada pushes Ospreay into her, and that's the end of her. She gets knocked down. Okada's feeling confident now. He lets Ospreay kind of get up and take some shots, and he's just laughing him off. But Ospreay does regain some of the advantage. He hits a massive Spanish fly from the top turnbuckle for a 2 count. They trade a couple counters, and then he hits an Oz Cutter. That gets a 2 count as well. He mounts Okada and starts landing some really hard slaps. He shoves the ref away. He starts stomping Okada on the head. Kelly notes that there's a boot imprint on the temple of Okada. Then Ospreay's lining up the hidden blade, but instead of that, there's another hidden Okada dropkick, which he gets him with. He then lands the discus rainmaker. No, sorry, the discus rainmaker is ducked. Ospreay tries a super Oz cutter off the top turnbuckle, only to eat another dropkick. The discus rainmaker then lands, but he puts the money clip back in. Ugh. So Ospreay fights out of that. He lands a tombstone of his own, and then does the rainmaker pose. So if Okada won't do it, he will. And then he goes for the rainmaker and he connects full force. That gets a 2 count. Stormbreaker's attempted again, this time when he lifts Okada up. It's fought out of, so we got a little bit further with it. And this is about at like 35 minutes at this point. Okada hits a modified pile driver, like not the normal tombstone. He kind of hits a over-the-shoulder sit-out pile driver, and then he finally goes for the full ripcord style rainmaker, hits it, and wins the match. And it was a hell of a match. This was, I think, the best match on this card. Yeah, actually. I mean, I'm about to obviously go over the main event, and I remember really liking it, but this match was something else. It's kind of the old Okada is back, and the new Ospreay is right there with him. It was a match that really, even though Ospreay lost, it was like Okada at his best, and Ospreay was right there with him. Because Okada's obviously not had much of a year. Everyone's been asking for the old Okada back, and this was it. This is old Okada. So for Ospreay to be right there with him, take him to the very edge, nearly get the win, it really puts Ospreay on that level despite not getting that victory. So he shares a little moment with Ospreay after the match too. He kind of tells, Gabe Kidd's in there with the ice pack, and he's like, "Get out of here." And he talks to Ospreay. He seems to be asking for another match at least. But whatever his message was to Ospreay, the message to Naito and Ibushi is pretty clear. Follow that. And then, so backstage, Okada, he says Ospreay's tough, and he believes despite the loss that Ospreay's vindicated in his decision to betray him, which is kind of strange. But he compares Ospreay to himself, and this defeat to Okada's defeat to Tanahashi. He says, it took me a few goes to overcome Tanahashi, and this is just the beginning of their saga. Okada and Ospreay, that is. So, and then he is asked about what he said to Ospreay. He won't reveal that. He's asked about the Rainmaker. He says he didn't make it rain, which I think that's in reference to his pose. He didn't actually do the pose, and then, you didn't get that zoom out shot. But he did mention that he probably wouldn't have done the full Rainmaker if Ospreay didn't do it first. So we have to thank Ospreay for that. And then he just says some nice things about, hoping these fights provide energy and courage for the fans, and then he stops himself joking that he sounds like Tanahashi. And that was, he just on the Rainmaker as well, he just felt like the money clip wasn't enough to get the job done. So there it is. And he just talks about the year ahead. He wants to attract new fans. He admits he couldn't make his mark last year, so this year he will. The reporter notes that it's been 365 days since Okada held a title. And Okada goes one further. He says, well, not only that, of the 4 wrestlers in that Double Gold Dash tournament last year, he's the only one that's not in the title picture now. So he's gonna change that in 2021. That's his plan. And Ospreay didn't attend the press conference at all. So that brings us, that match, if I didn't make it clear enough, is absolutely fantastic. That'll definitely be amongst the best matches of the year. And we've got the whole year ahead, but yeah, that was great. I'll watch that one again for sure. But that brings us to our main event, the double championship, IWGP Heavyweight and IWGP Intercontinental double championship between the G1 Climax 30 winner Kota Ibushi and Tetsuya Naito, the champion. No special entrance for Ibushi, no coat or costume. He just comes out ready to fight, like Tyson used to. Trunks and boots, that's it. Well, he's got knee pads. And Naito's the opposite. Full suit, as usual, that he slowly removes himself from in the ring. They start pretty mat-based, but it's not long until the pace increases. There's a Hurricanrana to send Naito to the outside. There's a bit of a clumsy exchange on the outside before a German suplex sends the top of Ibushi's head into the ramp. And then there's some hard stomps to the chest of Ibushi when he eventually gets back in the ring. And Naito's kind of making a point of staying on top of him. He's just very rough, is how I would say, Naito, his offense. Kind of like, even in transition as well, though, like, if you recall in the G1 Climax 27, his match with Omega, there was that pile driver spot on the table, the table at ringside, and they fell between the table and the barricade instead of landing on the table. And when you watch it in slow motion, it's fine. It doesn't look that dangerous, but in the moment, it's just this raw, untamed, unexpected kind of. It shocks you. It makes you think, well, like, that can't have been planned. That has to be real. It's a different kind of energy. It's an energy that Ibushi clearly thrives off of, because they have this connection, these two. So, but Naito stays on top. I mean, Ibushi's comebacks are consistently cut off until Naito goes for the Combinacion Capron. Ibushi launches at him with a lariat. Naito spins through the air, landing headfirst on the apron. Ibushi is pretty happy with that one, but Naito awakens, lands a neck breaker on the outside, and then another off the apron. And already Ibushi seems to have lost some of the sting in his strikes. Naito props Ibushi up after kind of really wearing down on Ibushi and dominating the action in the ring. He puts Ibushi up on the top turnbuckle, but it's well defended. Ibushi slips out, backflipping. What's his kick? The backflip kick, bicycle kick on Naito, and Naito falls off the turnbuckle onto the apron. And they love this part of the ring, don't they? Naito goes running at Ibushi only for a Hurricanrana to send him flying off the ring and into the steel barricade. And Naito's leg gets caught between the vertical bars of the barricade. So this is a short time in which Ibushi is in control. They return to the ring. There's a Super Poison Rana from Naito, though, that takes back the advantage. Naito feels a Destino coming on, but Ibushi fights him off with a head kick. Ibushi goes for the Kamigoye, but Naito, in counter, hits a Destino. He gets 2 count. Naito thinks another one will do the trick, but it isn't completed. Ibushi catches his legs, drops down, bastard driver. But he hasn't got the energy to make the pin. This is about 25 minutes in now. So they both they're down for a bit. They rise throwing strikes, but now their pace is a bit more even. Ibushi goes for the last ride, which Naito nearly fights off, but it lands, and then Ibushi rolls Naito straight through into a Kamigoye, and that connects, but only for a 2 count. Sanada, of course, Naito's teammate, he needed a second to stay down, so it seemed like that would be the way to go about it, but instead Ibushi goes up to the top turnbuckle for a Phoenix Splash, and while beautiful in flight, suffers a crash landing. And Naito wastes no time from there. He runs in, he hits a Destino, though not his best. So Ibushi kicks out of that one. And this is where we have the obligatory cut to the title belts. Ibushi resists another Destino attempt and then drops behind on a Valentia to land a head and go for the Kamigoye once again, and that lands. You'd think that'd be it, but no, somehow Naito slumps his shoulder just far enough off the mat to avoid the pinfall. So Ibushi pulls down the knee pad, and he's not mucking around this time. He goes for a second, or I guess at this point a third Kamigoye, but Naito revives himself, hits an Enziguri, and then the Valentia. Takes control of Ibushi's arm, looks to wind up the Destino one more time, but he gets caught on Ibushi's shoulder. Ibushi grabs his wrist, shakes him off, and then pulls Naito in for into a flying knee, and he keeps that wrist control. He grabs the other one, lands the Kamigoye one more time, of course the knee already bare from when he pulled down the knee pad before, and that move is enough to finally keep the champion down, and we have a new champion. For the first time, Kota Ibushi is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and for the first time the double champion. Of course, he has been the Intercontinental Champion before, but now he's the main man, the top guy. He doesn't quite believe it himself. He's kind of lamely trying to pin Naito again until Red Shoes Uno explains that he's done it. The championship music begins to play, and just before he reaches the title belts, Naito bumbles his way in and takes them from the referee. He kind of drags him around the ring as he tries to compose himself, and as Ibushi steps towards him, just as he's within arm's reach, Naito raises both belts out in front of them, presenting the champion his gold, and Ibushi hugs the belts away. Naito lifts Ibushi's arm before being helped from the ring, and Ibushi drops down. He's examining the prize, his title belts, before getting up, lifting them above his head, but he can only celebrate so long. He knew Jay White was threatening this achievement, but he might not have expected him to threaten it so soon. He walks out and takes the microphone, enters the ring, offers his congratulations. He says everyone knows this victory will only last one night, and he promises that every time Ibushi is there to reach new heights, White will be there as well to pull him down. And he walks over to Ibushi, who is quite happy to get in White's face, and for a pretty boy does appear to be pretty threatening. You can tell in his face, he has no time for any more of Jay White's talk, and White pretty promptly leaves after that. He said his piece. He's like, oh, okay, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. And then Ibushi keeps it pretty short. He thanks the fans for being there during these difficult times. He's holding the strongest titles now. He will keep them tomorrow. He won't run away. He won't quit. He won't betray you. And tomorrow he beats Jay and becomes God. So that's the end of the show. Backstage, Naito stumbles into the press area. He kicks over the seat that he probably could have used, such as his defiance. But he talks to the press. He has no regrets about his decision to defend the title twice, despite, of course, failing at the first hurdle. They both went in knowing that one of them would have to fight again tomorrow, but he praises Ibushi for giving 100% in this match. He says he will be back to main event the Tokyo Dome again, but please, until then, be tranquilo. White comes in for a moment. He's got that briefcase. He says he's going to turn this briefcase into 2 gold belts. And it's funny he says that because he's dressed as a magician, I would say. He's got a charcoal suit, a black shirt, a black tie, and then brown shoes and a brown belt. And yeah, I don't know. It's got some high schooler formal, your formal, what is it usually? Or in America it's called the prom, I think. When everyone hasn't dressed in a suit before and they dress in a suit and they make all the mistakes that someone that hasn't worn a suit before makes. It still looks good. I mean, he's certainly got the frame to look good in a suit, Jay White. Anyway, then Ibushi comes in. This is the main part. He says he's truly, truly very happy right now. It's surreal, but he won't let this end. Tomorrow he will absolutely defend the titles. He thanks Naito, and he says this is all a dream come true. He's got more dreams in his mind, but he'll keep those secret for now. He's asked about walking back up the ramp as champion, and he says just walking down the ramp to the match was a miracle for him. He reflects on his 17-year career journey to this moment and has to take a moment to compose himself. He's becoming emotional. He stutters out that he can't believe how far he's come, and that he had previously said something. He had to go back to something, and he's asked what that was, and he said it was that less is more, that he had become obsessed with results, and because of the becoming obsessed with results, he's become less free, and he needed to go back to that place he was as a youngster, find that freedom. And I mean, it did seem like kind of a less dangerous match. Is that, maybe that certainly could be what he means by less is more. When I say less dangerous than the old, Naito Ibushi main events, the ones we've seen before. Anyway, because even that German suplex on the ramp at the start, it was pretty clear to me that he got his hands down and didn't really hit his head on the ramp. But he made it look good. And then it's pointed out to him as well that Tanahashi, Okada and Naito are not on the card tomorrow at all. And then I saw something else about Okada, Tanahashi, Naito and Nakamura. Since 2003, one of them has been in the main event since. And this is the first time since 2003. Sorry, not this time. Tomorrow, when it's Jay White versus Ibushi, it's the first time since 2003 that one of those four men, Okada, Tanahashi, Nakamura, or Naito, have not been in the main event. So, well, gee, that's nearly 20 years. That's long enough. In the main event at the Tokyo Dome, of course, I'm referring to. Anyway, he addresses the fact that there's less star power on the card tomorrow. He says he's willing to fight for anyone that likes pro wrestling, and he wants to deliver it to a bigger audience, and tomorrow is next year, or this year, 2021 is his year. Yeah, well, again, that was a great match as well. I think I'd probably give the edge to the Okada-Ospreay match, but that was fantastic. And it sets up a main event that at this time I'm very excited about. I think I should just jump straight in rather than go through any analysis though, since we're already an hour in and I've got the whole next card, plus if we're to get to the New Year's Dash show. But I think we might have to just skip through that a bit. So, well, my post Wrestle Kingdom 1 analysis was, oh, you know what, maybe I'll just do 2 shows. After that one, I was kind of just thinking that there was more matches. Like the matches, if Jay White were to win, were more interesting than the matches if Ibushi were to win. And I kind of set out, but it was pretty close. I was like, I wasn't sure. So, yeah, I really wasn't sure who was going to win. I just kind of thought, it's not like New Japan, but maybe they know that they need to shake things up, and so maybe it's time for an extended heel run. Because if you look at the past, just even the last 10 years, and you look at the heels that have been heavyweight champion, how long are their title runs? It's really not long. It's usually not long at all. So that'd be a way to mix things up. And, if anyone can do it, Jay White is in his prime. He's fantastic. So I had that thought. And look, I mean, I know I've said it before. They need to do something. They need to mix things up somehow. So, yeah. Anyway, you know what? I might leave this one here because I kind of am just I've tried something else with the audio, so if I've completely bungled it, I'd rather bungle half of this show rather than both halves, rather than a really long show. So I'll upload this singularly, but I'll do the other one now anyway. So, yeah, we'll see. If you've just listened to this one though, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, both the podcast and the event, the first night of Wrestle Kingdom. But please, listen to the next one, unless you didn't like it, and then until next time, if there is one, have a good one. And if you did like it, until moments from now, when the next one begins to play, have a good one.